everybody. Welcome to another interview on the Popcorn Confessional, and we are kicking off the 31 days of Halloween here with some fantastic interviews talking about the NEPA Horror Festival and what's going on there and why you should check it out and why you should support these independent filmmakers. And if you haven't caught it yet, Jen and I are going to have a preview special on all the films that are going to be at the festival. So if you are interested in going and you haven't bought your ticket yet, check out that video. See those videos that are coming there. They're going to have all the trailers on there, and then go buy a ticket. Head over to the festival, watch some films, meet some great celebrities that are going to be there. Scout Taylor Compton. Am I saying that right, Jen? I hate when I get those names messed up. But you guys should be used to it. So from Halloween, that's Laurie Strode from the Rod Zombies Halloween. She's going to be there along with some of her castmates.
You got her name right.
Thank God. I was sweating over that one. So with us today is one of the directors that has a film in there, and that is Joe Reilly. And he is going to be talking to us about Charlie the Canceled Skeleton.
Coming this fall is a movie so sick, so vile, so morally reprehensible that we cannot even show you any clips without going to jail. Well, okay, maybe just a few.
Sexual assault.
Jesus Christ!
That's so inappropriate.
Retinol. So won't you join us and help make this world a better place?
Charlie the Canceled Skeleton. Okay.
I love the music. Hey, Joe, welcome.
Thank you. I actually made that for the trailer. I found it was like a royalty-free version of Celebration, and then I added just the cheesy singing on top of it. So I appreciate that.
Oh, I love everything about that trailer. It's fun. It draws you in. I watched that. It's like, man, I don't want to get ahead of myself because there's a question that's coming about this, but this looks really good, the trailer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's one of those things where for short films, there's not a lot you can do for a trailer. If a trailer's a minute or a minute and a half, that's already like, oh, that's a big portion of your movie. So I like to cut things quick, fun, do lots of quick cutting to the music, all that. For all my short films, I always do that.
Yeah, he definitely talented when you put that trailer together because it keeps your attention.
Thank you.
So yeah. So before we dive into some questions, so tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the movie.
Well, yeah, my name is Joe Reilly, like you said. I live in North Idaho. I like long walks on the beach, mimosas on the sunset. I live up here. I make films. I wanted to bring filmmaking to the Northwest. You don't really see it a lot. I mean, even Seattle doesn't really have a huge amount of filmmaking going on. Portland, I guess, maybe a little bit more, but even still, I think there's only maybe a handful of film festivals up in this region that are catered to a genre field. So definitely wanted to bring filmmaking up here, and my daughter lives up here, so I'm a mountain man up north now.
Oh, is it a huge adjustment moving out there or no?
No, mostly because I was coming up here once a month to see my daughter anyway. So I used to live in LA for 12 years and I always fly up the coast to see her. So by the time I moved here full time, I was already coming here for like 8-9 years. So it's at first though, it's a shock. When you think Idaho, you think it's just, flat land and potatoes roaming the fields. But then I get here, it's gorgeous mountains and ski resorts and lakes. And I figured, this is a nice little hidden gem. Not so much anymore since COVID. Everyone flocked up here and prices went through the roof, but still, we're blocking people out with barricades. Please stay out. Go back to California.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's almost all over now. People leaving the cities and heading to the countryside and causing prices to skyrocket there as well.
Yeah, it seems to be leveling out at least. And I live in a tourist town, so I don't think it ever will. But most places seems to be maybe balancing out. We'll see.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the film.
Well, the film it actually came from a film festival that canceled me, my last film. So I had another film called The Lake Parasite, which it did very well. Played, I think, around 60, 70 festivals in the end and ended up winning a bunch of awards and fun stuff. But there was one festival that at first just rejected me, which is normal. Like you get, I think they say like even for a successful film, 20 to 30% acceptance at festivals. And that's on a good end of it. So rejection's tough, but you got to expect it. So after about 2 or 3 months, though, it got updated to disqualified with a private note attached. And I said, "Wow, what is this? What happened here?" So I opened the email, and I guess it was a judge who was so bitter about it that he or she couldn't stop thinking about it for 3 months. So they went back and tore it apart. They said, "You are disqualified from this festival. You made a movie that had a scene of sexual assault in a comedy movie. That's never okay." Even though in the movie, like it was a karma scene, the guy gets his junk ripped off when he tries to sexually assault someone. So I think that was missed on the judge. But they said, you are not allowed to play here because you're joking about sexual assault. And then they said, "This is not funny whatsoever." But I was laughing a lot while I was reading that, so I thought, "Oh, this is very funny, actually. This idea is funny. Somebody just getting so offended and taking the wrong messages from essentially a comedy movie is a very funny concept." So got the wheels rolling. I said, this could be a fun little topical cancel culture movie to make, and that's how Charlie the Canceled Skeleton was born.
Wow. So is that like a badge of honor for you? You were living inside this
It
person's
is.
head 3 months rent free. That's how good that film was, that she couldn't stop thinking about it.
Oh, it is. I think I posted it on Instagram as like a promotional poster too. Like, "Hey, look, we got canceled by someone. Look at that. They hated it." So yeah, for sure. I do see that as a badge of honor. Shockingly, I thought with this movie, because it actually is about offending and cancel culture, I thought this one would get a lot more of that. And surprisingly, it's gotten none so far. So I think people will pick up on the satire of it, as well as there's just kind of I think a lot of unsaid agreement with it that I was not expecting, because I see people on both sides of the political aisle loving the movie, and I said, "Oh, okay, I didn't piss anyone off. Everyone's kind of in agreement with what's being said," which is nice.
I tend to find that it's selective cancel culture. It's not really cancel culture. It's whoever you pissed off needs to cancel you, not because of the concept of it.
And that's what the movie's making fun of too. It's very clear. There was even there was more in the movie, but had to cut it for time. But it turned out that the guy who was trying to cancel the movie was just mad because he was cast as the lead actor and they wouldn't let him work from home. So that's why he got mad and tried to cancel the movie. So it's I think people really appreciate that the antagonist in my film is just that guy who's just upset at the movie and not really for any reason, just pissed off at it. That selective version of it, like you mentioned.
All right, Jen, all yours.
Okay, so am I going to my second question? Because that was the question you gave me and you asked it.
Oh,
wow.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go right to your second question.
Fired. Wow. And now you just got canceled.
I did. Oh my God.
Hey, you gave me the questions and then you asked it, so I'm a little confused.
I'm bad at multitasking. You should know this. I'll send you my second question to make up for it.
So is it true that the film was made on a budget of $5,000 because the quality and the sound and the visuals just look so good?
It was. I mean, maybe even less. That was just a rough estimate. But I think that comes from, I appreciate it, by the way, the compliments there. But I think that comes from working in the film industry for the last 20 years or so. I've worked with a lot of the big studios. I worked at Disney for 4 or 5 years as well, Universal, CBS, all across the board, Fox. So it really just, you pick up a lot of stuff, especially Disney. While I was there, I was working as essentially an Imagineer for the filmmaking side of the studio, and there was this whole philosophy working for Disney that never cut creative quality, no matter what. Like always, put as much money, effort, time, whatever you possibly can into making it look the best way you can. Like that should never be the shortcut, the quality of it. So I definitely did hear that. I was tempted to cut the quality at times, but I realized, no, okay, even stuff like physical effects, practical effects, I have to spend the money, actually make the molds of all the different body parts and things that get mutilated. So it was one of those things that I think that's from working in the industry as well, especially Disney, that just like, okay, never cut quality for any other reason, if you can afford it, of course.
Yeah, and just like Jen said, it looks marvelous. You know, the quality of the trailer is great. I'm excited to see the whole entire film. Yeah, just bravo, great job on it. Because there's people that
I
make,
appreciate it.
yeah, there's people that release, you know, big budget films that do not look good in quality or even sometimes the sound. And you know, you just hit all the marks.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But I also worked in music before, so audio production I'm familiar with. But I think the main thing is the color grade on the film. I would definitely recommend anyone who makes films to just I use DaVinci Resolve, which is considered the top of the line. It's a free program too, so there's no barrier to entry there. The pro version you have to pay for, but that just gives you like some extra features. But there's so many YouTube tutorials out there now that film school is kind of not even worth it anymore. This comes from a film school dropout, let me say. So, so let me just, so I know both. I know both worlds, but there's so much you can learn now online that you get a lot of the pro training that you could, and then you just have to go out and make your own stuff and really learn the software. Things like talking about that color grade again. There's the difference between making it look the way you want and actually doing it technically where it's going to look good on film projectors and film studios. So you have to learn all the different scopes and vector scopes and all the different levels. And it's really a technical process, the post-production, as well as creative. So that all comes together and to make it all look good. The production, post-production, writing, of course. If the writing's horrible, nobody's going to laugh at it. So it's a really kind of a full process. You can't really pinpoint one reason why it looks so good, because just every step has to be on point the whole time.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to throw a curveball question out there because you already answered my first question too. Because where the Charlie the Skeleton inspiration came from, we talked about that piece. So let's go this route. So you worked at Universal, you worked at Disney. So what was your different roles there? Were you learning writing? Were you working on editing? What was your experience working at those companies?
A surprisingly non-filmmaking role. So I think that's what really helped with a lot of the skills. I worked on technical roles there. I worked with the game engines, Unity and Unreal Engine to make interactive experiences for people at the studio. So we got to work with like all the different assets of Coco characters and Star Wars characters and say, hey, what if we made an experience where their kids are in VR or somebody's in VR controlling one of the characters talking to kids at a convention. And so really working on the technical side of filmmaking at Disney was great. Virtual production systems, worked on the systems that they used to make The Lion King and Captain Marvel, because those were all made in VR essentially. Well, The Lion King was, and I believe, what was the other one? The Jungle Book as well. Jon Favreau, he had a system built that we were maintaining and keeping alive of he would go in VR and actually block out the shots. And then they would actually save that as a point cloud data of like, okay, here's the location in the 3D world. Send that off to animation now to render. So in essence, he was directing the movie in 3D for these animated movies, which was cool. So a lot of that kind of technical stuff really helped out for the independent filmmaking afterwards, for sure, using in my own projects.
Yeah, that's an amazing experience. Yeah, no wonder why you dropped out of film school. You didn't really need it getting their hands on like that. So
exactly, yeah, you don't really need it. Unless you're going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer or something. Film school is one of those ones that's just like, oh, well, that's a waste of money. That's not needed. Unless you're going for connections, like if you're going to like a USC or something, and like, oh, okay, this rich guy is gonna like me because I went there. Yeah. But you can learn everything you would have learned at film school online now, for sure.
So this is not your first short film. The Lake Parasite was released in 2021, winning 18 awards and being nominated for another 5. Can you tell us about that film and where people can find it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess for finding it, boy, I need to release that one publicly. I think for now, though, if anyone has Shorts TV, the short film channel on, I think it's even on Amazon Prime now, that channel, Troma distributed it as well. But yeah, it's been a while. I need to put it out on YouTube or something. But so I think that came from after working in the film world, and I had made shorts before, not only student films in film school, but worked on comedy films with Funny or Die. We had a partnership with a bunch of comedy groups when I was in LA. One called Hollywood Gyros and another one called Daddy Doyle. So just a bunch of friends making these viral videos that some would do well, some would hit 1 million views or more, and then Funny or Die was working with us to help make their content. We get to star in some of them too as background, like talking roles and great stuff. But it was really after working at the film studios, Disney and all, where I think I wanted to make that pivot. Okay, I want to be serious about actually making good movies now. So met with one of the buddies where I did a bunch of comedy films with. We threw around a bunch of ideas. Okay, let's make some funny shorts. And one of them here up in northern Idaho, where I live, we have a giant lake. I think it's the 5th deepest lake in the country, so a huge lake. We said, let's use the lake. So he put on a blue bodysuit, and we had this whole idea where he's coming out of the lake, and I'm just drinking a little drink and not even noticing him. Really, just this funny concept. But we had no ending to it. It was like, okay, that's a funny idea, and we have no ending. So after we shot it, about a week or two later, I was just thinking, you know what, this will be a funny horror movie. It feels like a B horror movie with this guy in a blue suit just wandering around and terrorizing people, kind of mocking, paying homage to Creature from the Black Lagoon or those 40s, 50s movies where it's just clearly a rubber suit. And they really took off. The idea took off. I shot more stuff with my buddy Brian, who played the creature, and he was brilliant in it. And then that's how the magic was made. Went well. Everyone kept saying, how are you going to follow that one up? That was so crazy. And then Charlie the Canceled Skeleton came along. So I got to keep topping myself every year.
Now, independent horror seems to be booming again. And there's a lot of aspiring filmmakers that are out there. They may try to target feature-length films, but that's difficult. There's ways to do it now with the campaigns that you can do with crowdfunding, but why is it so important to make independent short film ones? Like, I think of Lights Out. That was only a few minutes long, and that, so what's the importance of making the short ones?
Well, there's so many good ones. Lights Out, Mama, that started as a short film too. But I mean, especially Lights Out, that was a good example of one that just didn't work as a feature film. I enjoyed the feature film, we all did, but it was so sanitized, and it was just, once the big budget got into, it just wasn't quite as good as that short. And I think there's this whole idea on the film festival circuit, at least, that people always just thinking shorts are leading to film or feature films. I get that question all the time at Q&A. It's like, hey, this is a great short. When can we expect the feature? And then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, it's never. It's not a feature. This is a short story that's just nice and compact as it is. And there's not a lot of people out there that are actually using it as an art form, but I always love seeing it. There's a group of brothers named the Barber Brothers who just, they acknowledge we don't even want to make features. We just want to make great shorts. And every year they make great shorts at big festivals around the country, and make top-notch stuff. So I always loved when people use short films as an art form, because I'm a big fan of short stories and anthologies with little parts in it and all that kind of stuff. So I hope we see more distribution opportunities for short films. We don't really have a lot of platforms out there where we can watch short films, but hopefully soon. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Other than that, we just have to go to like Halloween Horror Nights and see the little short films while we're waiting in line on the TVs. So that's it's kind of like the only distribution choices for horror short films.
Yeah, that, or you have to go down the rabbit hole of YouTube and try to find where they're all at, because there's a bunch of them on there too.
Yeah, and I know Amazon used to be friendly with that, but they stopped distributing short films now. So, fingers crossed, maybe Shutter or someone will start a short section or something else. This is my way to try to pitch to them. Shutter, if you're watching, just yeah, call me.
Now, Jen, before you get to your next question, just to piggyback off of that, so do you see yourself staying in the short film realm, or would you eventually do a feature one?
Yeah, I mean, eventually it's lucrative. I don't think a feature that I would do would be off of a short film. So I've got some ideas for a feature, but I don't think it would be like converting a short story into one. It would be just starting from scratch on one, for sure. But I don't think it's very lucrative to do short films. And I'm lucky enough I have my own career, so I don't have to worry about making money at films too much. But it would be nice to, move into a spot where you're actually making stuff that could be commercial or sold. And a lot of times you can't really sell a short film. Feature films people will always buy. So eventually, in the next year or two, I'm sure I'll move into that field, and we'll see how it works. It's a whole different art form, of course, when you do something long form versus short. So I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of your, the full length of the short films for what I've seen from the trailers. I would be excited to see a feature length come from you. So hopefully, see what happens down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, okay. I'm going to put you on my DVD list then to sell to right away. That's a DVD. Who buys DVDs anymore? By the way, that's a woof.
Yeah,
that's a little archaic reference there. And by the way, yeah, for anyone watching, that was not an anti-physical media comment. I love 4K. That was a DVD is out of style now and poor quality. So there's an editor's note for that comment right there.
Okay, so what inspired you to begin making films, and when did you first start?
Ooh, probably when I was a kid. I was inspired by a lot of the old sci-fi movies, Star Wars, of course. Who wasn't? As I got into high school and grew up more, I really started loving Mel Brooks comedies, Naked Gun, all those sorts of just really kind of pushing the boundaries, wacky comedies as well. So horror really didn't even come into the equation until later on, I would say. Probably college time or so. I grew up in a very controlled, it sounds like I'm being whipped or something, but no, controlled media-wise. Like we were never allowed to watch anything inappropriate. So it was like maybe PG-13 sometimes, but most of the time PG. So once I left the house, I became a deviant there as just watching everything left and right. And living in New York City, that I got access to everything and everywhere. This is great. But when I was a kid and a teenager too, I would have an old Hi8 camera for those youngsters watching. It's basically like a little cassette player, which for those youngsters watching is something that used to play movies. So boy, this rabbit hole could keep going. But they had those old tapes back at the time, which looked like just like a cassette tape where you would record Hi8 on it. And I would always take that into the yard, and we had woods nearby. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, so not too far from where you guys are based. And then, we'd always go into the woods or make something out there or at home or in the garage. And my mom would come out and scream at me if I was making too much noise at like 10 o'clock at night. What are you doing in here? Pretending to be a mad scientist, mixing potions and stuff. So I think from a young age, I always wanted to create, and then went to film school and then worked in the industry. And now here I am showing my butthole on screen in Charlie the Canceled Skeleton. So I've reached peak art at this point.
So since you mentioned living in that controlled media environment, so does your family watch the films too, or it's like, good job?
You know what's funny about that? They've actually turned the corner now. So since after we grew up, now they're watching Joe Bob Briggs. They're watching like all sorts of over-the-top horror movies and gory stuff. So it's pretty funny. They've ever since we grew up, they really turned the corner there. They love the gory horror stuff, and they still haven't watched this one because of the graphic nudity I show in this one. So I don't think they're emotionally ready to see that. But they watched my last one, and they love that stuff now. just growing up, I think they had that more. We need to protect your innocence, and boy, did they fall on that one. That's
All right, so we didn't mention this, but Charlie the Cancel Skeleton has won 4 awards so far. So
yeah.
where is it playing at the festivals? Are you expanding? I know we have the one here at NEPA Horror Fest, but where else are we going to be seeing this at?
We got a lot more coming up. I think we played at 4 or 5 festivals so far, and honored that it won an award at each one. Even the 5th one, there was an unofficial award in there too. The festivals, we don't give awards, but we made you one because it's the favorite of our fests. So even festivals without awards, we're doing well at with awards somehow. But a lot of them are coming up in October. Too many. It's a little crazy. That same weekend as the NEPA Horror Fest, I think we're in 7 other ones at this point, with still maybe 10 other pending decisions coming through. So it's beyond Sophie's choice at this point for which one you pick to go to. It's more just like, throw a dart at a dartboard just to see. Because there's so many. So hopefully a lot of the festivals understand that, listen, they're all in like the middle 2 weekends of October this year. So I think in October, maybe 15 or so festivals coming up. So still, like we said, lots of pending. So I've just been telling everyone, I can't even decide yet until we get all the decisions. So then I can work on travel.
Now, is there anywhere that people can follow you for updates on this film and future films and where they can go and check it out?
Yeah, for sure. I'm most active on Instagram, and my handle on there is "This is my first time." So easy one to remember. And as well as Charlie the Cancelled Skeleton has its own page as well, spelled the British way with 2 L's though. So a lot of people sometimes correct that to the American 1 L. The British one just looked better. It looks better with 2 L's in there in the title. So
I agree. I spell canceled with 2 L's all the time.
Yeah, and they're both considered. Yeah, they're both considered proper. So
yes, yeah.
So somebody asked me, do you get annoyed when people misspell your movie? And I said, not really, but I do see it and do like a little eye roll, like, oh boy, there's somebody not checking the actual title name. But
I spelled it right in my notes. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, perfect. There you go. You're in the good crew then.
Your computer probably auto-corrected it, so...
No, Notepad doesn't have autocorrect, so there.
Oh, Notepad, okay.
But it could autocorrect it as the 1 L, too, so if it's American...
It does. It does.
All right, so we know where to find you. We'll have that information in the description of this video. It'll been scrolling on the screen as well. So definitely, if you're local to NEPA, which is Northeast Pennsylvania, over at the Circle Drive-In on the weekend of the 13th of this month, go check out the film festival.
Yeah, funny thing about the NEPA Horror Fest, by the way, is that the Bobby, who runs the festival, he said for the first time ever, because of my movie, he had to release a trigger warning video to the crowds. He said, I never have to do this, but it is a family-friendly event, but just know some of the films have graphic adult content in it. So he gave me a shout-out thanking me for the sole reason of needing that warning as well.
Nice.
You elevated them to another plateau.
That's right. I've taken, I pushed them to what they could be. Look at that.
And honestly, you know what? I would kind of expect that at Independent Horror Festival. I would expect something pushing the envelope a little bit.
You would think so, but I was in one in Houston a few weeks ago, and there was like a 5-year-old kid in the audience, and just the scene of just like graphic mutilation and sex and nudity, and I mean, even my movie too. There's definitely some. Oh yeah, I think that kid was in my screening too. Oh, that poor child. Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, their life is over. If they saw my film at that age, their life is done. Just forget about it.
Now, so me being a former Blockbuster video guy, I had to deal with a lot of that all the time back in the day, where people were like, hey, can my 6-year-old watch the Hills Have Eyes remake? No, they could not. It's why? Is it because it's violent? It's like, no, there's a rape scene in it. It's like, if you educate your child about, the violence being fake and all that stuff, that's fine. You got a rape scene. Oh, well, is there boobs in it? It's like, no. So, he can see it. It's a rape scene. It's a graphic rape scene.
Yeah, what a line to draw there, right? It's
Yeah.
like, ooh, yeah, rape is okay, boobs no. That's
Yeah, yeah.
there's the line
It's like,
right there.
it's like can't have the boobs, even though that's like on every female
Yeah,
body that they ever see.
exactly.
But the rape scenes were good. We can
Yeah,
watch
human
that.
body, no. Rape,
Yeah.
violent rape, very much yes.
Yes.
Oh God, somebody could cut that out of context now of me saying that. That's
All right, so it was great having you on. All the information will be in the description, so definitely make sure that you be on the lookout for Charlie the Canceled Skeleton. You seen the trailer at the beginning, right? Go and watch it on YouTube. Give it some views as well. Make sure you're going to check it out at the festival. You're following Joe online so you can see updates on where the film is going to be at and future films that he is working on. And Joe, anything you want to say in closing?
Well, there I just said hum. So that's the closing word right there. Hum. I'll let people ponder that. No, yeah. I mean, it's always fun at festivals. If you've never been to a film festival, especially a horror film festival, especially that one there at the NEPA Horror Fest, seems amazing. They're just such a fun time. You get to meet so many great people. Everyone's so welcoming. So definitely, if you haven't done it, go out to experience one of these genre festivals. They're a lot of fun, and you meet a lot of cool people. And a lot of the filmmakers attend too. So I would definitely recommend that.
Great. I'm disappointed that we're unable to make this one because we have an event that is competing against it, and it's actually the last one that they're doing at this location. So
Ooh.
we'll be attending that, but I do need to attend the film festival. It's been on our agenda to do. We just have not done it yet. But having spoken to you and the creators of the NEPA festival, and just knowing that they're the only ones that are thriving in our local area. Everybody else that attempts to do something hasn't been able to do it. So, he's doing something right. People love what he's doing. So definitely go check it out and check out the films.
Yeah, well, I heard about this one from word of mouth, so I guess that's a testament to how well it is going in the area. So just locals in the area were telling me, oh, you got to go to this one. You got to go to this one. It's great. So it's one of those ones where I actually found out from the local people themselves talking about it versus like, hey, everyone knows this is a good festival. That one, I always love those ones where it's just, you find that little pocket of fandom that says, this is the one we love and go to. So it must be a great one. Seems like Bobby runs a great festival there every year.
Yep. All right, Jen, anything you want to say in closing?
No, I was actually going to say the same thing, that sadly, even though NEPA Horror Fest is 5 minutes from us, maybe not even, we can't attend because we do have a prior engagement. So, but anybody else who is not going to be at the convention we're attending, then go to NEPA Horror Fest if you're local.
Yes, and also look on the channel. Bobby and Jess from the NEPA Horror Fest will be on the channel. We'll be interviewing them as well. It might be out before this, might be out after it. Depends on how we lay out the schedule for 31 Days of Halloween, so go check that out. And we'll also have a rundown of all of the films that will be playing at the festival, so definitely take a look for that as well. And then Joe will be back on for 5 Things, where we talk about 5 movies without Michael Myers that are Halloween themed that you should check out. Alrighty, so everybody, thank you for joining us. Remember, NEPA Horror Fest is the weekend of October 13th. Perfect timing, Friday the 13th. Love that time of year. And it's in October, so that's great. So make sure you go and check that out. Make sure you follow Joe on all social media platforms. And don't forget to do some things. Jen, what do we got to do?
Like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Yes. And until the next Popcorn Confessional, this is Dave and Jen and Joe. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next.